All right. So I like to do this in a fun way where we talk about training philosophies as a way to kind of present the two sides of how people train for strut endurance, for running, for improving running performance. So there's really two huge disparities where you could say we're going to only train this way or this way. The reality is we're going to combine these. We're going to work together to combine all of these things into the best possible outcomes. But it's easiest to think about these things by putting them into perspective of individuals. So the way that we're going to talk about it is we're going to talk about it as Arthur Lydiard, who is one of the greatest running coaches of all time. He was a New Zealander who trained athletes to become from New Zealand to become the world's greatest runners. And we're going to talk about Emil Zatopek. Emil Zatopek was a Hungarian runner, the greatest runner of his day. As we'll see, he won at one Olympics. He won the 5,000, 10,000, and the marathon. He was an incredible athlete. Always looked like he was paying when he ran. Totally, totally dominant runner. They had entirely different philosophies for training. So Arthur Lydiard always said that it wasn't the best athlete who won, it was the best prepared athlete who won. And basically what he said is the fastest athlete over 800 meters, again, 400 to 800 meters, that still has an aerobic component to it. But if you're fast over a short distance, that if you train properly, you'll be fast over any distance. And so what he said was that long distance formed the base, and fast running is only done during the build up to competition. And this is where we'll kind of go with some of the training. And really, it's a combination of Lydiard for the base phase, Zatopek for what we're going to see as the specific preparation phase. All right, so Lydiard's philosophy was that athletes had to complete at least 100 miles a week, and most of those were in singles. So what that means is running once a day. So he wanted you to run a long time each time you ran. So if you're looking at this and he's running 7 days a week, you're looking at something on the order of 12 to 15 miles at a shot, with one longer run, about 20 plus miles. All of the other ones are going to make up that other kind of 80 miles. So you're looking at 11 miles a day so you're looking at a good 10 to 15 miles a day on a normal day, and then 20 miles on a weekend day. All right, huge volume. Long, slow, just get out there, run. Don't run above your lactate threshold, just go out and run. Then there's Emil Zatopek. Emil Zatopek, when he ran his first 5,000 meter national championship, and he won the national championship, he'd never run that far before in his life. His philosophy was, why should I practice running slowly? I already know how to run slow. I wanted to learn to run fast. So all he did was high-speed intervals. The way that he trained for his first 5,000 meter championship is he sprinted 100 meters, and he did that 50 times. And he practiced sprinting 100 meters, rest for a little bit, sprint 100 meters, rest for a little bit, 100 times around the track. That's how he did it. His workout when he was in his prime, this was his daily workout. He did 5 warm-ups at 30 seconds for 200 meters. That's a hell of a fast 200 meters. That's really cooking. Then he would do the meat of his workout, would be 20 repetitions of 400 meters in 60 seconds. Not many of us can do 400 meters in 60 seconds once, let alone 20 times back to back. All right? He would power through that, take a few seconds of rest, power through it again. And then he'd do a cool down, 5 times 200 meters for 30 seconds. Okay? Both systems work incredibly well because what they're doing is they're doing these transitions. They're transition points where Arthur Lydiard is going on these long, slow endurance runs. Zatopek is doing sprint intervals and high-intensity intervals, and that is really what we're looking at. So his 2 by 30 seconds, that's going to be right in here. His 60-second 400s, a little bit different. I would have probably had him go at about, say a 3-minute 1200, or 3-minute 1200. So if he can do 400 in 60 seconds, he could maybe do 3.5 minutes for the 3 minutes for a 1200. So that would have gotten him in there. But really, what he's looking to do is sprint interval, high intensity interval, long, slow distance. How did they work? Peter Snell came here, did his undergraduate degree and a master's in exercise physiology before becoming a PhD in exercise phys. Never lost over 800 meters or 1,500 meters in his whole career. Won 3 golds, both 800 and 1,500 meters in Tokyo, the 800 meters in Rome. Again, never lost in his whole career. How did his Zatopek do? Pretty damn well. In London, his first time at the Olympics, won silver in the 5, won the gold in the 10. When he came back to Helsinki in 1952, he won the 500, the 1,000, the 10,000, and the marathon. And again, just like his national championship, his first national championship, it was the first time he'd ever run the marathon distance. He didn't know how to run the marathon distance. What he did is he ran beside the people who were supposed to win it until he got bored, and then he just took off and ran the rest of the way by himself. Very, very effective, very incredible. Not something that most people could do to train the way that he did. How does it work at a physiological level? Well, Marty Gabal has done a lot of work in this at McMaster University in Canada. And what he's done is he's shown that a sprint interval group that did 30-second sprints with 4 minutes of recovery versus a 65% of VO2 peak where they did 90 minutes to 120 minutes of continuous exercise. The total exercise time in each bout was about 3 minutes versus 120 minutes. Total exercise training time, 15 minutes versus 630 minutes. If they trained in one of these two groups, how did they improve their performance? Well, if you look, their endurance performance improved exactly the same amount. In fact, if anything, the sprint interval training group improved a little bit better. You look even further, the adaptations to mitochondrial mass and all of the other things look exactly the same. So whether you do high intensity intervals or you do endurance, long, slow endurance training, both of them improve endurance. And you know why? You know why? Because the long duration stuff, you're going to have calcium, constantly calcium. And CAM kinase is going to drive PGC1 alpha. And then because you're going long duration, you're doing it in singles, you're going to deplete glycogen. And because you're at low glycogen, you're going to get P38 and you're going to get AMP kinase. And that's going to also increase PGC1 alpha signaling. Or you can do it as high intensity intervals. And now you can you can deplete lots of glycogen, get P38. You can generate lots of AMP, activate AMP kinase, and you can get lots of, caloric deficit, lots of NAD, so SIRT1 activity is going to go up. All of these things can be activated by either high intensity, long duration, and they all sum together to give us the same thing, which is PGC1 alpha. And PGC1 alpha together with NRF1 gives you more mitochondria, together with ERR alpha gives you more blood vessels, and together with the PPARs gives you more fatty acid oxidation enzymes. So all of this together is now going to give you what you need in order to maximize your endurance adaptations. So whether you do long duration or high intensity work, it's all going to come together in the same way. And that you now know the molecular mechanism underlying those adaptations.